Welcome, LCIA, Life Coaching Institute of Australia assessors. Nice to meet you. This is me. That's my identification. I am who I say I am, Matthew Braun, and this is our role play of a first interview with a coachee. So Kate has kindly come in today. Nice to meet you, Kate. Thank you very much.
Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you. You found the place okay?
I did.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
That's good. And how's things in your world?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah. You've had a few changes in your work, in your life lately.
I have. As I told you on the phone, I've just finished up a sort of corporate job, and now I'm just thinking about what my next options are. I'm a little bit sort of unsure which way I'm going to go, so I thought I'd come and chat to you and have some good recommendations about you. So
that's good. Well, that's good. That's nice to know. And just generally, before we move on, how do you feel about, coaching and, the whole process of discovery, of your next phase?
Well, I think, I think it's probably what I need right now, because as I said, I'm a little bit unclear about direction, and I'd really like some guidance or some help sort of working out what's the best thing for me to tackle next. I've done some mentoring in corporate stuff with mentors and that sort of thing. So I kind of get the gist of what it is, but I've never had any coaching before.
No problem. I might just use some of the documents that I sent you yesterday in the email.
I've got them here.
And just use them as a bit of a guide for us today.
Okay.
Just in the initial meeting. So one of the first documents.
Do you want me to get them out?
No, I've got one here for you.
All
That's
right.
all right. I've got a copy here. So the practice information sheet is fairly basic around, hours that we work and fees and terms of payment, things like that, cancellation of appointments.
Okay.
Is there anything there that you would have a question on, or that, feel free to...
No, I think the only thing I was curious about is you've got working hours. Are you available outside of working hours if I had an emergency or needed to call you about something?
Yeah, that's right. So that's a very good question, because with a lot of professional practices, that's always a question. So we are pretty flexible in terms of our business hours are a guide to when we're obviously full on in working mode, but we do a lot of after hours follow-ups, and we can schedule some sessions after hours if it's the only way that we can get in contact with you. It's only the only way suitable.
Okay.
So we do a number of out of hours, weekends, all sorts of things, strange hours, especially if you're overseas.
Okay.
It can be strange hours.
But by appointment, not just.
That's right. It's usually within a couple of days beforehand, at least, sort of scheduled that way. And obviously the length of those sessions would vary, depending on what the time of night it is and how much concentration you've got at that time of night.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
So that's a good question. That's a good question. The fees are, as a guide as well, $175 a session of 90 minutes, and it's like a 6-session block.
Yep.
Normally. We are doing a bit of an introductory thing at the moment where we give a bit of a reduction on that for new customers, new clients. So when you and I finalise the coaching agreement, if you're happy with our work, well then there might be a bit of a package deal on that.
Okay.
And it's usually
that's good to know.
Also good to know is that it might say 6 sessions over so many months. We're also flexible on that because life gets busy and sometimes you can't always make the sessions.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. Great.
That's good to know. Terms of payment. Basically, we don't run a credit card for our clients. So it's like any other professional. It's either you pay at the session or before the session. So that's fine. Usual thing with professionals: 24 hours notice, because obviously we've lost that time then if you don't give us the notice for someone else.
The
Cancellation.
Yep.
So if it's within 24 hours before, you may lose that fee. That's good. That's really important to know.
Yeah.
We are very strong in professional associations, so we are a member of the local professional association here in Australia and the one in America.
Okay.
And we subscribe to all their codes of conduct, and we find them really helpful.
And you sent that to me, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I've got to admit, I didn't
Yes,
read
I
all of
did.
that, but I've got it, and I can have a look when
I did.
when
I
need
sent you
to.
a link to the website of both the
Okay.
associations,
All
Australian
right,
and
well, it's
American.
good to know. I'll try and have a proper look at
Oh,
it.
we will resend it after
Okay,
today's
all
session,
right.
don't you worry. On that subject, code of conduct. So here's the local code of conduct
All right.
of our practice here, the Champions Life Coaching Centre.
Yes.
We have our own ethical standards, so there's the obvious ones about doing the right thing, being honest, having a coaching agreement, confidentiality, huge.
Okay.
Well, it has been in Australia for a long time.
Okay.
So it's important that you understand that confidentiality is a critical thing in terms of when you're opening up and trying to sort of diagnose yourself with a bit of help. That all of that information, it's not allowed to go anywhere. Even if your husband rings me up and says, how's she going, how's with this week's session, I can't talk to him unless you give him prior proper permission, right?
Okay.
So confidentiality is really crucial for counselling, that you feel safe and happy, and I say, I had this client the other day, she was doing well, that doesn't happen.
And what about if I've got a situation, it might be that I'm in another job, for instance, I was to continue coaching, because that's one of the things I've thought about. I'd like to continue coaching if I go into another corporate job. Do you have to report back to them about what I tell you?
No, there's no ethical conundrums there, but more importantly, we won't be ringing you at work and leaving messages saying, it's the Champions Life Coaching Centre, can you call? Because your boss is going to go, what?
Okay, that's good.
So yes, that's another good example of confidentiality. Dual role conflicts. If I was, it's an interesting one, dual roles, because it might be that I was coaching one of your friends, good friends,
Okay.
and then the question, so no, it doesn't. There's no information cross flow, even if it's. So, and I might have to say to you, look, I can't keep coaching you because I'm coaching your brother or something or whatever. It becomes conflicts in the family.
And he's talking about me.
Yeah, that's right.
Fishing about me.
That's right. Correct.
Okay.
So the code of conduct page is really interesting, important.
Right,
So make some notes on that. And if there's any feedback, I'd love that.
The one thing I did know from something I've heard previously is that isn't there something about courts? Can they get my records or something? I mean, I don't plan on going to court, but
yeah, it's a very good question. So there is actually an ethical rule that if you are about to commit a crime or harm yourself or someone else, well, then we actually have a responsibility to let someone know.
Okay.
So it's only really extreme cases that you're going to commit a crime or someone's going to get hurt that we would then have to say to someone appropriate, hey, you need to contact this lady. But apart from that, no. If you want to become a go-go dance, that's none of their business. So, obviously, a coachee has responsibilities as well.
Oh.
And and that's obviously around the line is of being open and honest and sort of working at the situation. If we have tasks that we ask you to do, you've got to get on with those tasks and do the work. It's not a free ride. Coaching's not just a lot of blab and it's going to solve all your problems. That's not how it works.
All right.
Okay.
Homework. Right.
Actively participate in the process and work with the coach.
Okay.
Possible solutions. A lot of people, when you're coaching them, you say, oh look, well you're probably going to have to go and get some, do some work on that, or you're going to have to do. Maybe I'll refer you off to another counsellor if you've got a special issue that it's not within my realm. You've got to go and do that.
So what sort of stuff would that be? Because
that's a good point. So, if it comes up in our discussions in the early stages that you have a real serious mental problem, or you have a health problem, or criminal problem, whatever it is, it may be that I have to say, look, I can't coach you. You need to go and get family counselling for that, or you need to go and get personal stress management for that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So coaches are to help you get from A to B, somewhere where you want to go. And coaches don't necessarily have to have knowledge in that area. They just have to be able to know how to guide you in the process to get there. A bit like a mentor, but a mentor is someone different again. Mentor is a specialist in that area, and it's ongoing coaching. Coaching is normally for a specific period, and it's for a specific project. You can then have another project, but one at a time. Okay, so interesting. There's some really interesting stuff comes out of the conduct page, and obviously the other sheet that was in that little info pack is the coachee information sheet, and that's just basic data around you and.
Oh yeah, I filled that one out.
Thank you. Questioning your medical history and all that sort of stuff. All of those we will provide you in DocuSign, and you can just click away and return them signed for everybody's records.
All right, I will do.
So having covered all that, I've done a lot of talking, which is not really what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Well, that's okay. You're hearing me what's in it.
Just how about you give us a little bit of a sort of, 2 or 3 minutes of where, Kate would like to go and how she thinks she's going to get there, maybe that sort of thing.
Wow.
Where you see yourself in the immediate future. Or,
Well, I'd like to think I'm doing something that I'm more passionate about. I've come from a career in the media, and I've had some big jobs there, and that's kind of a difficult thing, is to walk away from the option of being paid, good money to do a job, in the industry I've worked in for years. But now I feel like it's just, I'm at a stage in my life, I'm in my 50s now, early 50s, and I want to do something for the last stage of my career that's just more, in line with, I guess, my strengths and, I guess my passions. So I'm trying to sort of figure out what that is. I've been doing a lot more writing lately, but part of me also knows that there's probably not a really big pay packet coming from any of the writing that I'm going to do.
That doesn't really matter. That's not really, unless it matters to you. But
yeah, I mean, look, I'd like to if I could sort of picture myself, in a year's time, I'd like to think that I'm doing work that I'm really excited about and that I really enjoy. I get that you don't love every second of every job, but I'd like to think for the most part I was excited and I was passionate about what I was doing, and I was earning, some good money out of it. So that's sort of where I'd like to be at the moment. I'm not quite there.
And so what sort of things do you think could be, I won't say hurdles, or what speed humps do you think could be in the way on that journey? What things could not stop you, but hinder you, or sort of?
What's hindering me?
I mean, I touched on a financial thing. You can afford to do this journey at the moment. Like, it's not like
my husband's sort of doing a good job, so we kind of look at it that I'm just keeping house, but that's not what I want to do, and he knows that.
Yeah.
But he's fine with me taking this time, which is a great luxury, and in some ways I feel a bit guilty about it, because it feels like I should be contributing. He doesn't require it of me, and financially we're okay to do this. I mean, if we want to do some of the things we want to do, I definitely need to earn some money again. But I guess the point is that sometimes I feel a bit guilty, and then I feel like that rushes the process, because then I sort of think, I'll just go back to where I was, rather than staying in this new lane. I'll be like, I should. So in some ways it's an internal speed hump for me. It's me giving myself the time to make this change, rather than rushing off back to where I think I should be.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting, isn't it? It's like a self-evaluation and sort of monitoring. It's like, because that's a big driver too of behaviour, sort of how you feel about the situation. I'll just go back to do this at News Corp for a couple of weeks. No. So I think that's a big one to be conscious of, and to allow yourself to say, what, it's okay. I don't have to.
I try to say that.
You a bit of savings or whatever, so I think that's a really interesting one. We might spend. It'll be worth following up on and sort of focusing on that as a main driver.
Yeah.
Any other speed humps that you can think of for your life?
Look, I think I've. What are the speed humps? I don't know. Maybe that's what I need to work out.
Family things or?
No, there's not. It doesn't tend to be a lot of stuff around family. Like lots of other of those parts of my life. I've got responsibilities to, young adult children and my mum and all of those things and family, but all of that, you know, is okay. Everything's sort of swimming along pretty well. I feel pretty lucky in life, but you know, this sort of feels like almost like a last piece, and it's sort of in some ways, when you just look at it that way, like a jigsaw and then it's this last piece, it's a lot of emphasis on it.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's that internal thing of like
self-expectation and stuff.
Yeah, and maybe not putting so much emphasis on it, because I mean, yes, I want to have work and I want to have work that's meaningful, but when you sort of, when I put this emphasis on it, like it's this big sort of last piece of the puzzle, it becomes something really big in some ways, and I guess there's a bit of fear around that. Like, what if I can't do that? I actually think that
Fear of failure.
I think that's probably my biggest thing, is that I want to do something I'm more passionate about. And then I think, what if I'm just a gibberer and I just know if this is true? I'm full of it. I just have to go back and do my other thing, because all of this is just, you know, crazy.
It's not really peer pressure, it's self-pressure.
It's 100% self-pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes peer pressure, because you meet up with people who go, what are you up to now?
Yeah.
And you go, oh.
Yeah.
But that's not actually really peer pressure. Most of the pressure is internal, and that's the hard part.
That's interesting. That's really valuable. That's because you're a clever lady. You know, you can go in all sorts of directions, but you know, you want to go in a particular direction or directions. You know, and it's not really the normal things that's going to stop you. It's these other internal things, these other sort of internal emotions and voices. And as you say, this could really be a great thing for you. If you can get to this destination, your life's going to be a lot better.
It feels like it could be, but it's just I don't quite know. I don't quite know the path from here to here, and I sometimes feel like when I do that sort of push of like, oh, I should do this, that I might be going the wrong direction. So it's trying to stay on track to the true path, but also make sure I'm moving.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting because being a driven person, you know, we can see the destination. We know how to get there. Now, we forget that it's just a little bit of time. There's checkpoints, and then there's another checkpoint, and you just slowly get there. You don't get there in one journey. It's like
I'd like to.
Yeah, well,
I know, and that's it too. Is just trying to sort of remember that it's now is now, right? You can't wait until you get to some place, and that's when life will be perfect, because it won't be. Of course, other things will happen and difficulties arise. I know all of that mentally, intellectually, but it's just sort of patience is hard.
Well, that's another attribute that you need when you're doing these journeys, because we're used to being driven, especially in the corporate world. Get this done, we're going to do it. Let's get done. It's done. It's like it's not always like that in the real world.
Yeah. So I am impatient with myself about that sort of thing, and probably my toughest critic, really. So
that's interesting. Well, look, this is really an initial session just to see whether we like each other and whether you like the whole.
Oh, you seem okay.
It's like I say to people, I only deal with nice people. You seem nice up to now, but
okay, all right, well.
But I guess where we want to go is we want to sort of then the last bit for today is to sort of look at a coaching agreement and see what that entails and how that works.
Yeah. So what I didn't really understand that bit. What's that? Because you said.
Well, I guess it's an extension of where we've been going with some of the formal sort of structure of coaching. And it just means that we can sort of look at what.
Is it like a contract? Like, why do I have to sign?
Yeah, it is a bit like a contract, but it's more around agreeing what you want to get out of the coaching and what we're going to provide in the coaching.
Okay.
And we agree on it. We say, okay, this is what you're going to provide.
Okay.
This is what this is what I want to get out of it.
So it's sort of like what we're working on.
Yeah,
but what happens if I change my mind? Like, what happens if we're in the sessions? Do we still have to do these things?
That's a very good point.
Halfway?
That's a very good question. You can cancel the coaching agreement at any time, right?
Okay. So we can work on something else if I decide that.
If you decide that going to an ashram is the way to go, off you go, right?
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
But no, basically it's just saying this is our it's like if you were Ivan Lendl and I was Tony Roach, is that right? Yeah, Tony Roach was Ivan Lendl's coach. Yeah. We're both old enough to remember them.
Hopefully.
You know, yeah, just hopefully. Yeah. So it's not like I'm an expert in the subject. It's just I was just saying I will coach you for the next 12 months. This is what we will do,
Yes.
and this is what you want to get out of it.
Okay.
Simple as that. But here's a good example in the document that you will, of course, approve once you're happy with it. We will work on this together.
Yes.
This is a workable document that we both have input. So, the cost of the services, as I said, there'll be a bit of a discount there because it's an introductory thing.
Yes.
Coachee's permission to speak to the referral source. So if a referral is to be made to an other professional for another subject, I have to get your permission for that.
Okay.
I don't just refer you away
Okay.
willy-nilly. That's the one you asked. The coach is ordered by a court or a lawful government agency to disclose the information. So if a court or whatever marshal comes and says, we need to talk to you about Kate.
Yes.
She's been,
Up to no good.
yeah, she's up to no good. So I have
Well,
to talk to them
okay.
about you there.
Okay.
But that's the only way anybody gets me to talk to you about you.
Okay.
Okay. And that you've read the practice information sheet, you've read the code of contact, advise of my rights during the so you're just acknowledging that you read all the other documents, we've
Okay.
discussed them, and that the basic parameters are you're okay with
I
that,
better go
right?
have a look at that code.
Yeah. So
Alright, that's certainly helpful.
so you and I will work on that, and I will draft it up again in DocuSign, send it to you, and then it'll be part of the DocuSign package. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Alright, great.
Or I can email them to you, you can print them out, sign them, scan them, do the old fashioned way.
Off to office.
Or fax them.
Off to office works. Totally recruiter.
Do you have any questions about today or the coaching process, or anything that you think you might like to ask that I haven't covered? Is there anything?
No, what was I wondering? No, I think that's all good. I think it's a good, this is probably what I was looking for, because years ago I did some therapy, some counselling, but I don't really feel like I'm at a place in my life where I don't want to be talking about all my,
Yeah.
childhood. I don't have any traumas, but I'm okay with all of that. I really want to focus on stuff that helps me
Yeah.
do what I want to do, get where I want to go.
Well,
And so this is good I don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
Well,
if you know what I mean?
I'm glad
and
you.
if we have to do that, if you say that.
No.
But
I'm glad you mentioned it because that's very important. We don't do that.
Okay.
We're not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. We're not stress. We're not sexual therapists. All that sort of stuff. So we just do our special field, which is coaching, which is a specific thing, like you said. I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Yes, my father beat me and put me in the cellar, but that's not relevant today.
Okay.
So the next steps really are we set up a schedule for those sessions for what suits you and us. So we'll talk about scheduling. If you're happy, once we've got all the paperwork done, of course, then we can get ahead and start.
And will
moving.
we do them here? Because I'm happy to do them here, but I do travel a little bit. So sometimes, is it possible to do any of them by Zoom or by like a Google
Yes, that's another good point. So we do a lot of our sessions via remote video connection.
Okay.
A lot of them, because
Okay.
people are busy and
I
traveling.
mean, I prefer face to face if I can, because I'm not far away. But at the same time, if I'm traveling,
Well, I think it's personally, I think it's good to have a number of them as face to face,
yeah.
because you get the connection and all the articulation, the body language and everything.
Okay.
But I think a lot of them can also be Zoom. You can just do some of them by that, and also the 90 minutes is a pretty long period of time. We find in our practice that 60 or 50 minutes is probably enough. I don't know what you think, but that we're flexible on that. But obviously, I have to also make notes from every session, and you're welcome to get a copy of those notes. So I make detailed notes so that we can reflect back and say, hang on, in session 2 you said, so we can all be accountable. But let's be great if we can get you to, not get you there, but assist you in your journey and help you to be more likely to get there. That's what it is.
That'd be great.
It's $1,000 well spent.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
All right,
Nice to meet you,
wonderful.
Matt.